Welcome to LXC.
Lights flashing bright. Players take the stage.
Predicting that Akali's going to lead. He blue cards. No yellow card here, but does get the Q off. We do see a Lou ultimate coming out onto the Hecker, but Hecker goes down to the Jinx. Can he get more? Zeri going in. Big ground out of the orange, the Poppy to keep the orange from going, but Zeri is locked down. That ultimate from Morgana coming out. Hecker going in with the ultimate, trying to see if he can salvage anything here for the flash heal out of Jinx. Keeps her alive. Jones is a little caught out, but they do catch the Leona, keeping her at bay. Mordekaiser did take the Yone. They are one-on-one-ing, and it looks like Mordekaiser is going to lose. Yone boxed him in his own shadow. Is coming out from the Morgana. She will hit a couple of stuns from her ultimate, but Yone just says go forward. Yone going in, getting one, getting two. Kaisa getting another. Sejuani. Poppy does get a double ult. It's just the Kog'Maw. Sejuani ultimate misses wide. We do see the TP coming out from the orange. Double TP out of the top laners. It's going to be a 5v5 scratch. Nocturne does get the first kill onto the Ashe. Ult coming out. Rumble ult. Nocturne ult. Poppy ult. Galio ult is coming down. We do see the Nocturne ult. The Galio is taunting everybody in the back line. Akali does get the one on the Familia, but immediately Sejuani goes down. Akali Zanya's, but it does not matter. Orange is just going to knock her up.
Shine on in the light. Game's on fire now. Tension in the air. Every player counts. Show 'em we care.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome the LXC Season 2 Summer Split Week 2 Arbiter Games Contingent Red versus Conduit Monarch. I'm Master Glider, and I am joined this evening by the lovely Miss Scarlet. How you doing today?
Hello. Good. I'm excited to see week 2 of Arbiter. Week 2 for everybody. I was just looking at how things are going in Arbiter right now for Contingent Red and Conduit Monarch. Looks like Conduit Red and Contingent Red, or Conduit Red, sorry. Conduit Monarch and Contingent Red both lost last week, so they're looking to get on stream and shake it off and bring back for week 2. I'm also interested to see how they do on stream. It's always a different game whenever you're actually playing 4 people. Every mistake, you're like, oh, dang it, what are they going to think of that or whatever? But also, you really want to pop off, too. So, excited for them for that, you know?
Outstanding. I do believe, however, Conduit is actually should be 2-0 due, I believe, to some stuff that happened there that made the changes on that matches there. So I believe their record is now 2-0, and they've got a little bit of a mix-up on their roster. Billy the Willard taking over in the jungle, as well as Luna Freya, Razors for Life, Feels, Panman, and Bam! Well, that's going to be rolling off the tongue during play-by-play. I hope you make some plays there for me. I'm going to have some fun with that this evening. So a little bit of the changes in the roster. We'll have to see getting these guys out on the Rift, how that is going to do for them. And we'll get into this lobby here shortly. Break it down for us, Scarlett. Tell us what we're going to see tonight.
Well, it's still a new patch, right? In fact, it's a new patch for these leagues in general because, I mean, I guess they've been playing solo queue this entire time, but the patch dropped directly after their week one. So, a lot of differences between last week and first week. So it's going to be a little hard to take their last week drafts and say, oh, well, they're going to do the same thing again because things have been changed drastically by the patch, I would say, almost. Either way, and again, like you said, yeah, they're technically 1-0 in the standings because of that ruling. However, they still lost their last round, so it's like a little bit of mix, right? You go into it, so at least you got the score, but you're still feeling a little shook and hoping that you can bring it back, ideally. And it looks like we're getting a small delay, and that's why we're talking so much, unfortunately. Speaking of patch stuff, league client stuff, all of that fun stuff is happening. Either way, yeah. But Arbiter League is always interesting because they're the first to play for the week, and they've got players of the widest range of caliber, right? Because it's the IBSG almost or whatever. So you really look at the game a completely different way than the different other leagues. So really wanting to see what happens with draft. You see a lot more individual bans instead of worrying about the meta bans, which I think is appropriate at this level. Um, Especially for the carry players. You might see one trick's gone. I see a lot of ASOL, for example, for Razors for Life. We'll see if that feels like they want to kick that out, even though it hasn't been the greatest in the meta. At this level, ASOL's going to be great. If you can't punch that. So that's what I'm expecting mostly for the draft.
All right. Well, we are getting ready to get that draft here. Had a little bit of a scuffle, if you will, with the update going with the patch right as we were getting ready to start our stream. So everyone's get back in the lobby. We're going to get ready here momentarily to get us on there in the draft. Before we do, we're going to do a quick shout out to one of the back end people that most people are not going to know, one of our dearly beloved members, Kartas, who's one of the mods in the background, dealing with a little bit of a health issue at the moment. We're going to pray for him. Hope he's doing better soon. Get well, bud. Miss you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, are the teams using Pro Draft again? I love that for us. So we might have a bit of a scuffed draft looking like thing, but it's still gonna work. Everything's gonna be fine. Reminder that usually, so Aurora is banned for this week, the entire week through, and the next week Aurora will be available. Usually it would be 2 weeks, so I believe she'd be available Tuesday of this week. Is that right? I might be wrong on my weeks. Either way, banned this week, so we don't have to worry about that specifically. What we have to be worried about is the AP jungler nerfs that went through, and everything else, but not Aurora. That's the only part of the patch you don't have to worry about. And we have to worry about figuring out what this draft screen is going to look like. Hopefully, it's not too bad. I guess all pro draft, or what is it? Law draft is still down. Either way, the teams are getting in here. I think we're going to get started pretty soon because we've got all the links and we've got all the team players except for one. But yeah, I'm excited to make these teams have their debut, pick it up where they were from either last week or from last splits, and try to remember what it's like to play on camera and perform for us.
Give us a show. That's what we want to see. Nobody wants to see 40 minutes of farming and Snorefest. We want to see fireworks. We want to see.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, wow, look at the macro, look at the farm, the perfect wave stacking ability here. Maybe we get a lane swap too if they're really excited. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen in the Arbiter League. Right? Look at how they step forward and get this minion to hit them 3 times so that way they can stack the wave perfectly, so that way in 30 seconds it'll hit the tower, and that's coinciding with the jungler taking the grub, so that way no. I think we're gonna be using a lot more more straightforward mid lane, go burr, I try to kill my opposing laner kind of thing. Although it would be nice if there was some jungle coordination, support coordination as well, but maybe not to the level of that. Yeah, rotations and stuff is not what we're going to be pointing out for sure.
What I'm hearing is your jungle should work with your mid laner to make plays. That's an interesting concept. I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
You may not know this, but League of Legends is actually a team game. Whenever
Oh.
you're queuing up in solo queue, there's actually other humans on your team that you can work with to try to not want to delete your account and try to, actually win the game together as a team, as opposed to, treating every person on your screen as an enemy. Regardless, especially in coordinated play, even at this level, you would be surprised how much that coordination can come into play. So, we'll still see some of that, luckily. And see where the supports and the junglers and the mid laners coordinate. Those are the three that obviously coordinate the most, though sometimes top lane gets in there, and sometimes AD carry does something other than farm. I wouldn't believe it for my solo queue games, but I have seen it happen before in competitive league games.
I mean, your ADC is not supposed to farm for 40 minutes and try to carry it by themselves and split push? Oh, I didn't. That's an interesting concept out there. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
100%. But at the same time, sometimes at this level, you do see ADCs like kind of lose it a little bit and go like, "Oh, I'm supposed to rotate," and then the enemy ADC does just farm for 40 minutes and then super ahead. Because the thing about coordinated play is you can't follow the rules if you don't know why they're the rules. And so if your AD carry is grouping up and their AD carry isn't, you have to punish maximally, or else it's just going to be like solo queue again, and their AD carry is going to outscale you. So it just all is a balancing game, especially whenever you're first getting into coordinated play at the lower league bracket level.
All right, looks like we're getting ready to get the draft here underway. Taking a look at the stats here across the board for some of these players. I'm going to be really shocked if Shen makes it on the board, considering the top laner over here looks like they've played nothing but Shen the past 4 days. So I was not expecting that to be seeing that anytime soon. I could be wrong here. They could be not afraid of it, got something for it, but I'm just guessing that might not be allowed in.
Yeah, I don't have access to the draft currently, from last week, but for sure you can definitely look at just their solo queue as well. However, we are actually getting into it. Let's see if we see that ban, Twitch ban. Again, not something you would see at the, solo queue level or the meta level at higher level, but here, when we're talking about one tricks and you get to scout them, Shin and Twitch are gone. I wouldn't see that at any other level. Okay, so there's the ASOL that I mentioned before. So we're definitely focusing on what the players pick rather than the meta, which I think is good because at some point comfort matters more, especially whenever we're talking about week 2. The teams haven't been together maybe all that long, and sometimes it would be nice to just be ASOL and you be on your comfort. But now we're forcing you onto something else. A lot of very specific bans, Udyr ban as well, is definitely bringing up the kind of one trick mentality. Now, Caitlyn is the one ban you would see generally if you're just like, what's a good ban for this patch? It's Caitlyn still. Maybe not at the higher levels, but whenever you're talking about beginning coordinated play, yeah, the Volibear though is definitely an early game, a really aggressive early pick. I would not be like, I'm very surprised to see Volibear at all, to be honest.
Unless it's being
And
flexed. It could be a flex pick to where they're picking
right,
it
but
first.
even as a flex, like it's interesting to pick it first because it kind of dictates your style of play immediately. It's not necessarily a power pick unless it is for the team. And they are picking Ashe as well, which helps deal with that dive potential. But that is also technically a flex. So, Ashe could be AD carry or support. And I don't know what they pick with this. I don't think you want to pick your AD carry or support immediately. So do you just show your jungle here potentially?
Well, if you're scared at the volleys of flex pick, then maybe you're gonna go ahead and pull your support here pick because it's gonna be more comfort.
Okay.
But yeah, you're giving away a lot and letting everyone know where that Ashe is going. Siobhan is interesting because you can flex at top, and I'm not really certain if they're a big player of it up top, but it is something that can be played from that position as well. And
Yeah,
middle.
and Shyvana is like such a idealistically opposite champion from Volibear. Volibear, you're trying to make plays early, get through the game as quickly as possible, and then Shyvana's like, I want as many dragons in as late game as possible. Get to the 6 if I'm farming jungle, or if I'm top lane, I want to get to that split push place. Jinx is a nice pick into Ashe. I don't think Ashe can really punish her as much as other bot lane champions can, and it's nice to see her scale. But it does leave the question of picking Volibear with it. I don't know exactly how that coordination goes. Swain would be really interesting as well. So it does feel like they're leaning more towards comfort, because I'm not sure I'd ever like put these three champions onto a plate and say, yeah, this makes a great team comp. At the same time, they can work together okay. You know, team fights look easy enough, right? You get Swain in the middle of everyone, Jinx rocketing everyone, and then Volibear just comes in. Great, you know?
It'll be interesting to see what they counter with here, knowing now that again Swain could be a potential either flex support or mid. We'll wait and see what they're going to do with that one. But Yone is going to be seeing some action here. A little bit interesting to be picking Yone this early, especially with so many counter potentials yet to come. So we'll have to see here what they're going to play around here with the Yone pick. Again, playing more for that. Hey, we can farm. We can get to that late game, and we got a lot to work with here.
We'll
Now
get
we're
an
gonna
update
see.
with what that ban is in a second. It looks like it's Braum.
Yeah, looks like it went out.
Either way, I think the reason why they picked it here, even though yes, you are leaving it open at that Swain, is support, is specifically because Razors has very few champions that he is comfortable on, if I remember correctly, or at least it looks like that from solo queue and from what I recall. So I think if they were worried that if they pick their support or AD carry and they leave mid open, suddenly Razors is left at a moment where he might be able to counterpick, but he's going to get his chant pull pinch, because that's two more bans going towards mid with Asol already gone. So I respect taking Yone, forcing Contingent Red, like, hey, we know Yone is really easy to counter, but do you actually have it? Can you actually do it? You know?
Well,
Okay, we're
here
gonna get
we
an update
go.
on what that other band is.
That other
I'm not
band,
sure if the
Milio is the band. Okay, all right.
yeah, so that's two support bands, which means they think the Swain is mid, and that kind of illuminates why they picked Yone as well, feeling like they can deal with the Yone versus Swain matchup. However, if that is a Swain support, it does kind of destroy everything, you know, that they've built up here. So I
It
hope they're
just
right for their sake.
would mess up all of their bands there. So we'll have to see here. The Nautilus coming out. All right. You kind of like to see that with the kind of a go button there for them, as well as some peel there for the Ash. Fits into the Yone going in as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned that Ash Nautilus might not do amazing into Jinx with counterpick. I could be mistaken because I'm not that well versed on. Okay, well, everything just changed in a moment. So one second, there's a Singe on the screen. I'm almost expecting for the players to say that was another pro draft mistake, but it seems to be. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm sorry to bait you guys. Although, to be fair, okay, so it's not Singe, to be clear, but it is Nasus. So we're still getting something exciting, and that means that it is Volibear jungle. Nasus potentially blind. Shyvana obviously could be top lane, like you said before. But I said with the Volibear that they were expecting to try to end the game early, and now they picked Nasus, Jinx, Swain. So I'm just completely wrong, I guess. The Nasus is interesting because I don't think he can set up many dives for Volibear, and Volibear loves to set up dives with his top laner. So at the same time, your opponents are picking a lot of late game champions, so I could really see the Nasus working out well. I'm a little concerned for Alistar into Ash Nautilus. I think it's fine, but it could lead to some issues. Ornn picked for top lane for Conduit, so I feel like both teams just said, you know what, our macro is so much better than yours. We're both gonna pick 50-minute comps. We're gonna agree to farm it out, you know, and at 50 minutes, let the best team win, I guess. Wow.
So it's interesting from Conduit because with the Nautilus, they have the go potential, and the Alistar is going to have to get through the Nautilus to get to the Ash to get her, whereas the Nautilus isn't going to care so much about hooking the Alistar in and letting Ash slow him and continuing to pump the damage. So I'm not a big fan of the Alistar here. I wish they would have picked something a little bit more to play with the Jinx a little bit better. But again, we'll have to see how this kind of plays out here. I believe we will be getting the predictions here momentarily, so you can spend your points. To your point, the interesting point here with Contingent with going with the hey, we got this early with the volley bear here. We want that Swain to get to 6 as fast as possible, and then now we've got an Nasus who wants to farm for 40 minutes. Along with that Jinx, they kind of got a mixed bag here. They've got the early game, and then they've got this late game. So if they misstep the early game and don't get their leads, I'm not certain they scale all that well into the late game here against that Ashe on the other side with the Shyvana. So we'll have to kind of see how this plays out. I think Conduit has a slight advantage here in terms of scaling out. They are giving up a little bit on the early game in some of their lanes. However, I think the Ornn, as long as he can sustain and not get too ganked by the volley bear with the Nasus, should be able to outlast and get to that 25-30 minute mark and get his items out for his team.
Yeah, but again, to call back to what I said before the draft even started, like, you know, sometimes you look at these comps and you put them on a plate and you're like, what is going on? But at the same time, you know, if the players are comfortable with what they're on, if they're getting the macro basics down, maybe it doesn't matter as much if your draft isn't quite fitting together, the pieces together, you know? I think that Nasus can carry a late game if it gets ahead, regardless of, you know, having less late game early or less late game oriented champions. And macro differences are going to be huge between the teams to where you can almost see a team winning with a early game comp late game just because they make slightly a few more better plays in the late game. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I think another interesting thing to point about this draft that won't be relevant till the next game is that Razors did feel forced to pick that Yone early. Maybe they did feel like the Swain was mid, absolutely 100%. But at the same time, like Razor's Yone is very good, don't get me wrong. But it could lead to a future draft trap if you are aware of how early that he did pick it.
Forcing him in, and then you flex a Swain, and then you pick at the counter pick for the Yone to kind of render him useless. They didn't do it this time, but you're right. It is something that could play here. But we're gonna start getting set up here on the Rift. These guys are gonna get in the lobby, start getting going out here. Predictions are out for game 1 of this. It's a BO3 tonight, right?
Yes, and as a reminder, that singed on your screen is a Nasus. He just looks especially bald today and human-like. But, you know, he's just been becoming more, embracing his inner dog today.
He got a haircut, you know, he's went for full trim. That's what that is.
Right.
All right, predictions are out. I am honor bound to wait to see what Soulkeeper is going with, so I can take his points.
Of course.
I just unfortunately he is not able to vote today, so that means I can't steal his points. This is very sad for me.
It's the worst day ever. Oh well. Either way, again, I think that the gameplay is going to be what matters here. You know, I can talk about draft diff all we want, but at the end of the day, these players are getting together for the second week. They are trying to figure out coordinated play for themselves. Razors is on Yone, and that's always a factor regardless of how you feel about the champion and comps in general. You did win the last split on it, specifically for Arbiter. So we are going to have to see how that turns out. And yeah, I'm excited to see Razor's Yone again, to be honest. I'm glad that it came through.
All right. Well, the only thing I want to see invade. I want to see the Nautilus land in their queue, lock something down. The problem is, you've got an Ashe there, but you also have a Shyvana there. Shyvana level 1, and he is not there. But then you got on the other side, you have all these tools. So usually I would say hit the go button there, Conduit, but there's a lot more tools on that level 1 invade on the other side. So we'll kind of have to see how that goes too. Because if you give Jinx just a little bit of a lead early on and get a kill or two on her, she's able to take control early down low, and she can spread that around if she's helping her team out. So we'll have to see how that plays out. You're right, comfort matters a lot. We'll have to see how these folks perform on these champions, especially under the bright lights of week 2 here for Arbiter, and can't wait.
Yeah. With that being said, we will get to a quick break for a spectator delay, and we'll be on the Rift in a few moments and ready for game 1 of week 2 Arbiter.
Welcome back. Here we go, getting things spicy and started. Not seeing anything too crazy here across the board. No one wanted to go crazy ham here with the invade. Kind of sad.
Yep.
How about you, Scarlet?
Summoners are very similar. There's a ghost for Nasus, which makes sense, but everything else is even across the board. Ignite supports, barrier, 80 carries, and they're just staring at each other without knowing they're staring at each other. Very classic. I'm expecting both junglers to really look bot lane. You don't usually care about Ornn Nasus that much. You kind of just sit there and let them farm. So now a question of when they go bot lane, right? Do you do top camp, bot lane, or do you do some kind of cheese gank? I mean, with Nautilus, it could go either way. Shyvana is looking towards her blue buff. Now, she could just be going top lane, but I think this might signal an early gank. Nautilus is in the middle of the map.
He is getting a little cheeky there. I thought he might do something a little crazy, but it looks like he's just going to go ahead here, get a deep ward in, and go back over and join his team.
Yeah,
so
but he's going to miss XP.
He's going to miss
did miss
XP. Ashe is going to get level 2 unless Alistar punishes, so she is going to hit level 2 first, as long as she can not get too crazy over there. But does make it to the lane. Not seeing anything too crazy going on there.
Well, it also is the fact that Ashe can't hit them. Oh, wait, top lane? Level 2.
You know, that's just
early.
Ornn just telling Nasus hi. If you want to Q farm, I'm gonna make you pay for it.
Classic. Bot lane, yeah, I think Jinx is getting pushed. I can't quite tell. Yeah, Jinx gets pushed because of that. They got level 2. Nautilus not backing off. He's like, level 1 Nautilus is just as good as level 2 Nautilus. This champion early
It'll have
game
my
is so
Q.
broken.
I still have
exactly.
a Q. I just need to land it.
Yeah, so he's just sitting there acting like he's level 2, and they're not calling his bluff. It's not really a bluff. I think it's accurate. Both junglers are coming onto vision here. I believe there's a blue ward under Shyvana right now, too, which is kind of interesting. W poke. Nice little cheeky get
They
there.
got a little bit there. We do see them kind of just poking there. Anchors ahoy there from Nautilus to freeze the alley up there just for a second, just so Ashe could say hi. So that process is going to repeat itself. Swain does land, but it is a Yone, so he's just going to swipe with the sword and walk away happily.
So one thing I like for what Billy did, I said that both junglers are going to go towards bot lane, but at the same time, maybe Billy's just saying, I'm not going to gank at all. So I'd rather be opposite map of Volibear. He's going to start top, go towards bot side. I'm going to go farm, not give a care in the world about where Volibear is, tell my bot lane to play safe, gonna get my crab and be really happy, because I really doubt Billy's gonna look for a gank top here. And as long as bot lane plays safe, which they did again, allow Jinx to push in early, so they have the wave kind of where they want it. Looks like the gank might still be coming through though, as mid lane fighting as well. Volibear backing off though. Not really possible to do anything.
I think Volley saw with them being in the tower this early, not really going to get anything, maybe, but he is spotted and called out there going across the middle there. So junglers are just happy to trade farm at the moment. The trade of Scuttles going back on the farm. Ornn, of course, saying hi to Susan, saying there's a tax for your Q farm.
Billy is actually being aggressive in a different way. Came all the way from top crab down here.
We do see the anchor landing here, though, on the Nautilus. The fight is going to go their way. Shyvana shows up, and it does look like Billy is going to get that first blood right off the bat there. Nice little cheeky play. Even though he got over the ward, the anchor landing just says, this is why you don't get too far up there. Nice
Nautilus is a champion, for sure. And that's interesting, because you saw Shyvana pass towards top, take the top crab, and instead of recalling, saw how much bot lane was pushed up and walked all the way down there and got a kill. First blood.
It does mean, though, that Shyvana didn't buy. Volley now has that information, and now Volley can try to get in there, sneak in, and start something. Meanwhile, down bottom, Nautilus, again, is just going to walk forward here and start this fight off, get a little anchors ahoy on there, and get some more damage on here, while Shyvana is just going to calmly just take the jungle here in silence. Hasn't backed yet.
Both junglers are aware of what's going on. I'm assuming Billy is aware that whenever you show on Dragon Pit, the enemy jungler is going to invade you Volley only gets one camp. Level 6 here for Orin, though.
Here
And bot lane's going
we
on.
go. Bot is just getting started here. We see the fight going up top. Ash is just collecting kills here, though. But now, here comes the cogs here. Ash needs to back off of here. She does not want to stay here with the Swain. She's going to flash forward and try to get into this fight. The barrier is on, though. She's not going to have enough there. And now Swain is just shielding both of them. You do not want to be here with this Swain. Oh, here comes the
slow is so
swim from the
big.
Jinx. Oh, my goodness. Down goes the Ash. Stayed too long. The follow Q from W from Jinx was able to slow the last possible, and Swain able to collect the kill there. Razors, meanwhile, just farming, says, okay, sorry about that. I'm just going to go ahead here, collect this, get a little bit more gold off the tower. Is building kind of a lead there with the CS. So Swain got the double kill, but now missing 25 CS from Billy there. Meanwhile, Billy and Shyvana are going at it. Ornn here is here. Nasus is here. The fight is going. Billy is going to have to back off here, take a little bit too much damage there. Needs to back off. And now Razor is here. And Yone is going to ultimate land, get that damage on the Susan, but it is an ulted Susan. The knockup is going to follow, though. And here we go. Razor able to take a hit from that tower and get out of there. Now Nautilus is showing up and saying, hey, while we're here.
Well, I do like how Razors chose his spot there. They got the dragon, the objective was gone, so he went straight back mid lane. Yes, his team did fight, and they got a little bit caught out there after the dragon. But then he gets the push in, gets the plate on Swain, forces him to stay, and goes towards Grubs with Shyvana. Volibear thought, oh, they're on dragon. I have infinite time to do this. Suddenly, two people show up, and it's not quite that
Here
free.
comes the knockout down. Now we know Nautilus is not there. Ali is able to go in, take charge, establish a little bit of some loving onto that Ash. Knocks her up in the air for the Jinx to get damage, but too close to the tower for them to really commit there. And now we see a little bit of a conundrum here. Ornn and Yone kind of switch lanes for a second, and they kind of want to switch back here and get that Yone back to base. So it does look like they're going to recall here and swap back here. So some good little trades there out. Billy did get the kills on there rather than the Razor. You like that from the Shyvana early. Interestingly enough, because Volley didn't target that early dragon, got an early lead there on the CS, not able to translate it anywhere. So the early jungle kind of countered here.
Yeah, absolutely. Shyvana wants to be farming more, but if you give her 2 kills a dragon, she'll be totally fine with that. This fight looks like it might be popping off, though.
It is started. We do see it come out. However, Jinx does not have a lot of mana here. Ash is going to have to back up here. She does get knocked out, but here comes Shyvana. Here's what we're talking about. Shyvana is able to get this work in. Jinx is now in trouble. Alistar is now in trouble.
Oh, the resets.
My goodness. The resets are coming out. Jinx is on the run. She can't escape. Billy able to claim the kill. Ash got a little too greedy there, trying to get that last kill. Got herself in a bad spot. Alistar was able to land the knockup at the correct time, and she was able to get the kill. But ultimately, again, Billy in place with the Shyvana, able to collect another kill and an assist. Already got even CS and is showing a lot of early aggressiveness coming out of Shyvana against a Volibear.
Absolutely. It feels like Volibear is just nowhere on the map. He's gotten 2 grubs. He didn't even get all 3. He's got a bit of a CS lead because he invaded Shyvana, and Shyvana does feel that pain. It does hurt, but I think she'll take it every time for that first dragon. And I think now with the bot lane pressure, they'll probably be able to convert it to more. And Volibear having a farm lead doesn't really translate to much. That's not really what the champion is designed for. He's up a level, but he's just recalling for tempo now to try to fight this dragon. I don't even know if his level advantage, which just went away, by the way, will matter for this dragon fight. It depends on if Billy can get a reset before the dragon spawns in 40 seconds. Just going to take this last camp. I imagine Billy will recall, but it depends on how much Nautilus wants to fight over vision. And they're all aware of this dragon. No top lane teleports. It will be a 4v4 if they can set it up that way. And it's all about the mid prio and the bot prio. Looks like Nautilus is trying to give up a little bit of the bot prio for vision control, but Volibear is the first one to the scene. So what can they do while they know Shyvana's in base with this bot prio to make this dragon easier for themselves?
Unfortunately,
right now,
they're in a little bit of a bind. They have the vision. but they're waiting on the timer, and Shyvana is able to make it back here before this fight kicks off. So even though they've got the vision established, they were able to clear it out. They were not able to get anything started. Now we're here. Prio is over on mid side, so ooh, nice little combo there. Jinx is able to get some cogs onto Billy, and they are now in control of the pit. We're gonna have to see if this Nautilus and this Yone are willing to commit. It doesn't look like it. It looks like they're going to give this up. We see Billy interacting with the Swain, getting close. Swain is going to flash forward and say, I don't know if you want this. Is able to collect the kill. Wow. That damage just said goodbye, Yon.
And now it's just a complete macro difference from the teams. You saw the lanes being pushed in mid and bot. The fact that Yon was behind Swain, looking at a wave that he was going to lose, meant Shyvana had to ult out. If Yon was there, maybe you ult in and you make it work. But Yon, Razors absolutely was not willing to give up that wave, and I respect it. And so just by pure... Oh, hello, Nautilus, taking shots. Okay, sure. Just by pure control the wave.
Fuck by the tower. You know, no busy. No biggie there. Just telling the tower hi. We do see more urgency here. Look, there already is a team with Jinx, with the Alistar already committing, getting into here. They're like, we want the Void Grubs. We're just gonna go ahead and start this. We're not waiting.
Oh, they steal one.
Oh.
That means they have to. Both teams have to get both of these.
Here we go. Here comes the ultimate. Ornhorn is out, fully engaged. Here comes Razor trying to get to the Jinx, but he's not able to do so. But Billy is able to get the kill on the Volley Bear. Meanwhile, here comes Bam in the back. He's going to wisely take the trip there for him. This means that Yone is free damaging. And now here comes the anchor. Down is going to go the cow, and Jinx is going to have to get back there a little bit, forced into her tower. Are they going to go for this dive? They're not. They're not going to go for this dive. They can't. Yeah, there's Razor. Razor says, "Here he comes. Here he comes." And
that's going to be easy, WE.
Thank you very much, he says. And just like that, a kill going back owing to Yon on the Razor on the Yone. So interesting there. Choice decision there. They swapped the lane immediately. Tried to get the Void Grub started before they could collapse. Didn't work out the way they planned.
Well, the problem was they set up the 4v4, but Swain went bot lane to match the wave, which is fine. But now you're setting up a 4v4 where you've got your level 880 carry and they've got their level 9 Yone. And Swain is bot lane, can't dive the Ashe, can't really prevent Ashe from getting XP. And the 4v4 certainly is going on the side of Monarch whenever that happens. Supports are, meeting each other, greeting each other, saying hello. This is my ward. No, it's mine. Wait, there might be more though, because the 80 carries are involved.
But now here comes the Jinx. Here comes the Volley. Here goes the Yone here in the middle here, just trying to say hi to the Swain. And of course the Ornn and the Nasus up top, just trading blows here. Again, I hate to say it, I don't like the Alistar in this. It doesn't seem to be doing and having a lot of impact. No one's scared of it, and they're just going right past it. And really, who are you knocking out the way?
So mid lane states are even. It looks like they're setting up a 4v4 down here. Who's gonna blink first? Razors?
Here comes the Yone. Here comes the anchor. The anchor is landed on the cow. Up he goes. We do see Jinx in the back here getting a lot of free damage, but Shyvana is just collecting the damage here. But again, Jinx is getting the reset. She's getting the damage out. No one was on this Jinx. She got a lot of free time, and now Billy is being forced to run for his life with this Jinx and the cow chasing. Because of just all the focused attention there. Ornhorn up top is going to not care about the tower and is going to say hello there to the Nasus and claim it. Nasus not having a good time up in this top lane. He is 1-4. He's getting the CS slowly there. He's having a hard time with that Ornn.
Yeah, you were talking about who's scared of the Alistar? Apparently Ashe is, because I'm pretty sure that arrow went on to... Oh, wait, there's another reason to be scared. Because that cow is on you.
Not certain what Ashe was thinking there, trying to get down in there, but Alistar says, thank you very much. I'll just knock you up in the air, and the Jinx will collect the kill. So a little bit of a solo whoopsie there, I think, down on the bottom there. Gonna cost them a little bit.
Yeah, and the game state is kind of flipped from before. You still see the gold lead for Monarch, but through the Dragon play and some other choice plays, the game is a lot more even than it was, and this third dragon is anyone's game. Now, I'm curious to see if Monarch will allow Contingent Red to have that same macro sense of mid lane and bot lane push in the same way. I think the junglers will be more evenly timed out for this dragon spawn. The vision, as you can see, is pretty even. And right now, Jinx isn't even at the wave 16 seconds before the dragon spawns. So it is more of a question of how the setup is. And you can see Monarch is all grouped up, which is good for Swain if he can get in there. Not so much if his team isn't behind him. So it looks like it's mid-even, and then bot push is in favor of Contingent Red, but the dragon's already spawned. So,
Dragon's there, and I'd like to talk about the items here, but we're not going to get a chance here. But close attention there to Billy's item selection over here with that Dark Seal with them stacks on there and being 7-1. He's going to do a lot of damage very quickly if he's allowed to. So we'll have to see how that plays out at the moment if he's allowed to continue there and build that into a Magi's. It doesn't look like they really wanted that fight. They went ahead and said, no, we're not getting in there.
The Ornn came down. They didn't want to commit Nick's teleport. Oh, but there might be a fight now.
Oh, here comes the hook onto the Swain. Swain is already trying to run for his life, but he is not going to get far. Billy collecting another kill, and that one was kind of a whoopsie there on the Swain. I don't think he was expecting Swain and Nautilus to say, just chase right into him. Billy just collects another kill there.
Yeah, he was looking to bait with his ult. He was like, my ult's gonna pop off. We're gonna make this fight work. And then he realized he couldn't use it because there's no way he's living through that. Teams are fighting over this, but I don't see anyone here for Contingent Red, so Volibear is just gonna have to back off. And that is a tower, a dragon, and a herald suddenly for Monarch.
Volley, unfortunately, like we talked about early on, it was an early game kind of jungle, not able to exert the pressure, and unfortunately, we're almost at the 18-minute mark here. Not going to have a lot of impact on the game, and so with the early jungle like that, where you kind of got behind as an early jungle, this is kind of where Shyvana's going to kind of take over, and it's going to be hard for Volley to do much. But Ornn says, enough about you talking about jungles. It's all about the top lane, baby, and we're going to brawl it out here. That Nasus is growing in stacks, so that's going to happen for a while, Ornn. But there comes a point.
Check. 246, by the way.
There comes a point where that's not going to work anymore. Just throwing it out there for that Ornn.
Yeah. But at the same time, you're not a slouch in the late game either. So honestly, looking at this game state, I would say it's pretty even, except you have to hide the Volibear picture. Because that's not the jungler you want in the late game with this game. But you can still make it work. Like I said, Volibear's down 2 levels, by the way. Started the early game up a level, up farm, was trading XP and levels for that early dragon and early lane pressure that Shyvana had, and has just completely lost it. But Volibear's okay at level 9. You know, we just said his late game's not that good. It doesn't really matter if he's level 13, level 12, level 9. I mean, that matters a little bit, but you know. So you get to the late game with an Nasus stacking. You got one of the first 3 dragons. You've got a Jinx who got a lot of resets, has potential with 2 items. Hasn't even gotten boots 2 yet, by the way, because of the Cloud Drake. I mean, the game state is not uneven as much as it looks like from the gold and dragons. It's just this 10 stack Shyvana is going to frighten a lot of people until those stacks are gone, or until some other people can catch up to her level 11. Because that's the same level as their mid laner. That's like right below Stealthy on Swain, level 12, right? Meanwhile, side lanes having side lane things.
Even Razor down a level against the Swain says, I got no problems taking this fight and putting a little bit more damage there. So now able to finally get that level back up on Swain where there are even levels here. I do like what I've seen from the Swain. The Swain has actually played really, really good, especially against the Young. But again, Ornn just says, I'm going to keep trading with this Nasus until his Q starts actually doing some damage to me. And you're right, that you do have the Jinx. She does have the 2 items.
Teleport from Swain here is pretty big.
Here
Bot
we
lane,
go,
it looks
though.
like they're setting up a dive.
Yone
But
is
Swain
trying
says,
to
no,
run,
you can't
but
dive me!
Billy is here. Here comes the damage. Shyvana and Yone able to just, unfortunately, end the life of that poor Swain, who was doing so well until
That's
Billy
so
showed
funny.
up.
Stealthy is like, wait a second, they're setting up a dive. No, you can't dive me. I'll fight you right here in the jungle. Unfortunately, Shyvana has a bit too much mobility for that to work. It was cute against a different jungler. Maybe that could work, you know? They're like, okay, I'm ready to dive. And suddenly their mid laner's dead in the tri-bush. But unfortunately, Billy's like, no, I got this. Ults into tri-bush, makes it a 2v1. But still, teleport used for that death, which is kind of unfortunate. But you're still going to be up in time for the dragon. You know, not the best macro play. At the same time, you can still come back and fight this dragon as if it didn't happen, right? Like the gold that came out and went to the Yone isn't going to make that much of a difference.
Here comes the anchor, though. We got Alistar got caught out, but unfortunately, it is a cow. There's a lot of beef, and Yone did not want to cook it. So Alistar,
no one wants to match Thorn.
Nobody wants there. And now you got Volibear taking a shot at the Nautilus. I don't think he's gonna like what happens. He does get anchored away, and now Shyvana's there, and now Ashe is there, and that damage from the Shyvana. Here comes the ultimate, and down goes the cow. They will be having steak this evening. Shyvana's not done yet. Neither is Nautilus. Just going ahead and leaping forward there. I would have thought they would have called for Baron immediately at that point with Ornn top or against the Swain, but it looks like they're content to rotate into the dragon. But I am the crazy guy that likes to call dragons at 20 and 21 minutes, so I could be horribly wrong on this one. Now we see Swain
moment, though.
And fighting the Ornn, and Ornn realizes this is not a fight he's going to win right now. The ultimate is still stacking. Swain is still rolling. Now here comes the Jinx. The Jinx is slowing the Ornn. The Ornn is not going anywhere, and they just trade a dragon for it.
Yeah, and that was the worst of all worlds for a moment for Contingent Red. They send the Swain back to match the Ornn with teleport, and the fight just starts while Swain is back in base. So it's just a complete unfortunate. You have to give up the dragon. They make the best of a bad situation, though. They do send the Swain up, CC the Ornn down, who wasn't ready for it because they thought, oh, maybe Jinx will try to catch a wave or contest the dragon. But Jinx says, I'm getting the shutdown. You can have the dragon. Now, that is soul point for Monarch, so it's not the easiest of plays to make. But at least you get a shutdown for your Jinx. So that way, oh, I think there's a slight problem here.
I do believe that, again, here comes the ultimate Ashero, just adding insult to injury. The cow is trying to run for his life. The Shyvana is there. The anchor's away from Nautilus, and down goes the cow. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yone and Nasus are going to trade blows, and Yone is going to say, I'm going to take your life.
Yeah, the Alistar going down, maybe not the worst. They use a lot of ultimates. You can't lose the Baron just from that. The Swain going down, though, or sorry, the Nasus going down, though, maybe there was a Baron there. Luckily, Contingent has enough pressure that they're not willing to start the Baron with their Yone so low. But both mistakes back-to-back almost cost them the entire game and blew it wide open. However, now, because the Baron's still up, they haven't gotten Soul yet. Contingent Red still has an opportunity to make this game work out. We're going to do a stack check on Nasus whenever he's alive, and we're going to have to remember that this dragon fight is probably going to determine the game if there's not a Baron between now and then. So Nasus currently has 351 stacks, so he will do something in a team fight. I'm just not sure that they can stop the orange side push without worrying about orange stopping Nasus TP. This last dragon fight is so hard. Like, you're looking at it, dragon spawning in 3 minutes, and your carriers are saying, am I really going to be ready in 3 minutes? Last Whisper purchase for Jinx, there's still no Infinity Edge, so the power spike just isn't quite there yet. And I think this dragon is going to be very difficult for Contingent Red to defend. At the same time, you don't want to give up Ocean Soul, so they will have to do it. But I think that Monarch...
They could force the Baron to force the teleport out of Swain so it's not there. But hang on a minute.
That's a really huge force.
Billy just decides to go absolutely crazy diving into it.
What damage!
The tank collects the double kill, and meanwhile Swain and Fields Panman are at it, but Swain is able to sustain. But now comes Shyvana is back in here. There goes the triple kill, getting the damage in and just eating away at this team. Billy gets the quadra. Billy came a long way to ult and flash into that fight against 3 with nobody around him, and somehow walks away with a quadra.
Monarch was not content to wait for the dragon spawn. They said, I want to end this game right now. And like I said, with the Nasus matching the Ornn, Nasus never got a point to TP. He might have been more set up for it if he had this big warning sign, dragon spawning. I got to get ready to TP. But instead, Shyvana just ults in, flashes in, and somehow still kills the Jinx through all of that, despite the engage looking a little spotty just from the damage alone. So this Baron now can be set up. Now, luckily, Baron is a little bit more survivable than Ocean Soul, but Baron also makes Ocean Soul very easy to get. So it will be Baron for Monarch, and they're going to try to get the reset off, go to this Ocean Soul, and fight with such a huge advantage. Now, again, Ornn might make his way back to the top lane, which Nasus has to match. This time, Nasus will know, hey, I probably want to TP before the fight's over. But I am really concerned that Contingent Red are not going to be able to fight against this Baron up enemy team, especially with their Jinx not even finishing her last Whisper item, let alone starting her Infinity Edge.
Unfortunately for them, just the sheer damage that came out of Billy cost them that fight. And now you're in a position where Goldie's starting to really show. It's almost, what, 8K at this point in time? I mean, a lot of that is the difference just between on Billy really on the Shyvana that's doing a lot of work here. But again, bam, making some plays here, is landing these anchors, and just Alistar not able to respond here. Of course, as I say that, Bam goes ahead and whiffs it, but that's okay. That's okay. That's all right.
What Contingent Red really need is for Swain to pop off. This is the moment. His ult is ticking on a Yone.
Razors. It does have the Yone in a bad spot here. We do see the Flash trying to get him away, but Yone is all by himself. Billy, meanwhile, on the other side, is going to collect a kill. Yone, Razor's trying to run for his life, buying time. Here comes a Shyvana, and this Shyvana is terrifying. They need to run now. Nasus is nowhere to be found because he's dealing with the Ornn. Here it comes. Now the poor damage is coming out here. Now they're on the run. Shyvana, the Volibear, is just running for his life, and Yone getting the triple carry there with the Baron out. This might be over. I'm not certain they're going to get back in time.
I think that Contingent Red had the right idea. It was just too little, too late. You used the Jinx as bait. Shyvana wasn't anywhere near the Swain, so Swain gets to get all in on the Yone, but Swain's too far behind. He can't even 1v1 the Yone. And so the game will end like that. Will be 1-0 for Conduit Monarch. Razor's going for maybe another kill, and maybe you should remember why a lot of people banned Yone against Razors.
Well, that concludes game 1 of this game series. What'd you think, Scarlett?
Well, I did understand why. I know I ended it with that, but I understand why Yone was left up from the draft. It did look like Stealthy had a cohesive plan against it. I mean, Swain did more damage in the entire game and kept up in gold for the most part with Yone until later in the game whenever it snowballed a bit out of control. However, if there's one thing I take away from the draft, it's that you just cannot blind pick the Volibear. It looked like suddenly after the first pick, they went with an entirely different direction. And they almost made that direction work, right? Like the Nasus was able to scale up and kind of hold his own against the Ornn. You definitely saw the resets from Jinx, and Swain was playing well in the teamfights late game. But then they just also had a Volibear jungle and an Alistar support that were non-functional almost, despite Volibear's early lead.
I am gonna say what I said at the start. The Volibear and the Alistar, I thought thematically didn't really fit with the other picks. I really liked what I saw out of the Swain, honest, the Jinx, but just unfortunately, Volley not able to establish the early control, and then once they fell behind out of the early game, you're right. You know, the Nasus trying to control, trying to stall the game out, but at that point, you would have wanted something probably a little bit more mid and late game focus rather than that Volley, because you weren't able to get a lead on it. And just the Alistar just unfortunately just wasn't feeling very particularly. Who's he going to boot out in Punel? Like, he really didn't have the options there. Once Nautilus lands his Q, okay, punt him out, but the damage is already done there. So like to see them make some adjustments to come back and play that a little bit more in a better spot. I'm sure they will get some adjustments. I'm sure their coaches are talking to them right now. Maybe we'll see different strategy here. But still
so
fun to
getting
watch.
confirmation on who is what side. We'll get into drafts here a second, so I'll be able to tell immediately. It looks like Contingent have chosen red side. However, we're just waiting a second for the teams to, do their post-game moments, get back in. But it looks like Contingent have chosen red side, if I'm understanding this correctly. So slightly different draft now with the team switching sides. And also, interesting to see. Like, again, I think it was just two different drafts that you saw from Contingent Red. They had a really nice cohesive scale in the late game, and the Shyvana almost let them do it. You know, their Volibear got a nice experience and gold lead, which can help if you're trying to, you know, scale up with Shyvana and outscale her. But the problem was that level 7 Volibear to level 6 Shyvana doesn't mean much. So it's like, it's just so close to making it work. I mean, you can be down 3 dragons if you have Nasus, Swain, Jinx. The Swain was looking like it was really going to make a turn. Jinx possibly could if there's just a little bit more protection. So I don't think the draft needs to change that much. I mean, you could almost argue that you could leave the Yone up. I think that's a little crazy, but I wouldn't hate it. So I don't think the draft needs to change that much. The bans could look the same. Just maybe change one or two things. Maybe change one or two priorities for the jungler early. Maybe you could ban the Orin. I don't hate banning the Orin. I mean, trying to outscale it with Nasus clearly did not work, and I don't know if that changes even if your jungler is something different. But I do expect those things specifically to change for Contingent Red.
I agree. I would like to see a little bit more. Maybe don't allow the young. You know, the person on the other side plays it a lot. Kind of won a league with it already. Probably not. Should let them pick their comfort champion and put them on something else. Although Swain played pretty well into it, was able to make some rotations there, but just kind of made some so got caught in some bad spots there as the game went on. But that happens. I'm with you. If you're going to thematically play around the comp and try to get something out there, I would have loved to see maybe a Trundle rather than the Volibear there. If you're gonna pair it with the Nasus and kind of try to shut down something coming out from the Ornn or the Shyvana to get more damage in there. So maybe we'll see that adaptation. But again, I'm a Trundle lover, so I love the troll. So
Respectable.
we'll see it.
Yeah,
Looks like they're getting ready here again.
Because it's like the lanes didn't play that poorly. Top lane looked rough, but it's kind of supposed to look rough with Nasus. Mid lane looked great. I mean, Razor's got 3 kills randomly from somewhere, you know? But like bot lane played well into the Nautilus. They took advantage of Nautilus not being there for the lane early, got the level 2 advantage, got the push. Played into Shyvana gank a little bit too much, which is kind of funny because Shyvana was literally on the opposite side of the map, and that kind of shows that if you are playing bot lane and you put so much pressure without being protected that the enemy jungler goes from top crab, says, I'm going to gank that lane, runs, beelines it down to bot lane, and gets the gank off successfully, maybe play a little bit more around jungle. At the same time, in the 2v2 specifically, I think that they did fine. So that maybe doesn't need to change that much. So, curious what bans might change from Conduit, actually. Maybe they don't like the Jinx or the Swain. I could see them banning either of those two. I don't think they're banning the Volibear or the Alistar, unfortunately. But the rest of it will be, you know, more of the same. If you win like that, you don't necessarily have to change your draft that much, except they are on blue side, and I'm not sure that they're willing to blind pick any of the champions that they picked. Like, they picked the Shyvana disgustingly early, in my opinion, but it wasn't blind pick disgustingly early. I think that first pick, Yone or Shyvana, would be a mistake for Conduit. So they will have to change something, but you know, they could just blind pick the Ashe and be pretty happy.
Yeah, you can blind pick the
Looks
Ashe
like
or
draft
to your
is
point,
starting.
pick the Yone early again and see if they're willing to.
Yeah. So bans are the same so far. Let's see if Contingent Red changes anything. Not yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if they say the devil I know is better than the devil I'm afraid of, which is the Asol. So, you know, you saw the Yone. The Yone won, obviously. It did well, obviously, but it was containable. So perhaps they ban the Asol again. But so far, the first 3 bans are exactly the same.
Keep the Shen off the board. I like it. You know, Twitch, obviously it's a comfort pick, but Twitch can do some damage if you don't respect it. Seeing the Silas ban out there again, kind of the same thing that we've been seeing here again, kind of expected at this point. Volibear being banned.
I'm kind of curious. I kind of had an insight for a second there. Like maybe the reason that they were thinking about banning it, not as a joke, but actually because like they took it away because they were worried about the enemy team's Volibear and they were thinking about banning it. I'm not sure. Or that was just a joke. Like we're not banning Volibear, we're just not playing it either.
All right, so the Deer and the Kaylin, here comes the Shyvana ban. Yeah, 100% can understand that ban at this point.
I really want to see Jinx here again. Now, maybe a different support, but clicking Jinx into the Ashe feels totally fine and acceptable. They didn't punish it that much with the Ashe before. They punished it more with the jungle pressure. So if you just pick the Jinx again, I think you're in a good spot. Zeri is a very similar kind of champion, just a little bit safer into ganks. So I don't hate that adjustment at all. And it's about what you want to pick into the Ashe showing.
I'm not
Now,
the
what
biggest
support do you
fan.
pick with it?
Yeah, so
Oh,
typically speaking, you would pick like Yumi or something for the Zeri, but the problem is if you're going to pick the Yumi, you're still leaving the Nautilus open, and that doesn't go so well. So you'd have to ban that if you're gonna play it around that way.
ooh,
But
that is spicy.
okay, all right, that could be support. That could be not support.
It is a wrong pick. It was not spicy at all. Oh my gosh. I am a
Boo,
regret to inform you that Zoe is not the actual champion. It
boo.
is a Thresh, which, you know, is also exciting. Just, it feels a little less exciting after I hear that it's not Zoe. Thresh is obviously going support. The Senna into it is really, really, I mean, it's just complete ego, right? Ashe Senna, absolutely, you run into Thresh there, you just try to poke them out. But if they ever land a hook, you're dead. So I think that Conduit is basically saying we played the 2v2 fine last time, we're going to play even better this time, and Zeri Thresh are not going to threaten us one bit.
It's a little bit spicy. I would have loved to see the Zoe in, with the Zeri instead. That would have been a lot more comical, or even a Nico. But I guess we're not gonna see the sadness there. Do you see the Mumu coming out along with the Sejani? So both teams opting for more of a front to back.
This does
Where
mean Razors gets targeted here. Asol was open the entire time. Razors was willing to blind pick the Yone, was not willing. Well, I guess they saw the Swain. Razors is not willing to blind pick the Yone or the Asol, and Conduit's not willing to ban it either. It looks like. Actually, the Swain ban means I think that they were a little bit worried about it, and I get it. Like, Stealthy Swain looked good. But are you really going to leave up Razors for Life best two champions just because you can make them blind pick it? Okay, just his
I
best
mean, the
champion?
Asol, you take the Asol away, you're still leaving the Yon. You've gotten rid of the Swain, so can he play the Cassiopeia into the Yon? Does he know that matchup, or are we gonna see something? We do see a Malphite getting the band out here. So, let me see. Let me see here now. What we're gonna do? I do like the front to back style more from both teams out here. Willing to play here. We're gonna have to see what they round it out here, or if we're gonna get something crazy. Maybe it's a
Well,
Sedge
I think
top
they
and
picked
we're
top
wrong.
lane here. Because you forced the Yone to be blind pick, if anything. I'm pretty sure. And that is a Mundo. I appreciate Mundo because it tanks all the Sejuani and Ashe CC pretty well. But Mundo blind can run into some issues if you just take a Renekton or some other kind of bully and, you know, push them off a lot. Although maybe we can support him enough that maybe it's okay. So I don't know if Razors is willing to blind pick the Yone. He was willing to pick it into Swain, and now they banned the Swain. Are they really going to say Stealthy could play anything he wants into Yone? Especially with this team comp, because now they've got no AP if they pick the set. I think we're going to see something new from Razors. The set is nice into Mundo. It bullies him a little bit. Doesn't scale as well, I would say, but if you ever ult a Mundo into the enemy team, it's really nice. Brand makes sense blind. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to lock in. I do like it into the Mundo specifically. The percent health damage is nice. You get the magic damage. But it is kind of interesting how you've got like the Sejuani set frontline and then three squishy backliners who are just trying to deal damage. A Kali would be kind of nice to see. Definitely a very different champion than Swain. So that shows some diversity for Stealthy. But a Kali into Brand, I mean, that's just a completely different matchup, right? Like, we're definitely seeing sparks fly in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think you're right there with the brand pick is a little bit more interesting to blind pick it. I would have preferred the more of like if you're gonna do the front to back style, maybe the Victor or the Viger. Brand definitely a bit more with the percent health. You're right for Mumu and Mundo, and Brand just gonna get his damage off no matter what because he's just a ticking time bomb. But Akali on the other side is very interesting because if they play it correctly, they can basically take themselves away from Suejani, away from Set, and directly into the Ashe and Senna, or the brand, and get some nice squishy things that they can kill. So, very much Contingent is going to have to kind of play around it. That's a little bit more spicy of a pick there. But again, Conduit's got this nice little just kind of front to back. We'll take the fight. We'll dictate. We got a ton of CC, and all we got to do is let our frontline.
Yeah, I mean, this time if you put contingents 5-man on a plate, it makes a lot more sense. Obviously, the Zoe is a Thresh. You know, Zoe, I would not be saying that. But you put those 5 champions on a plate, and I say that's a great team comp. You know, maybe not the most stylistically consistent, but good enough. You know, you all press R, you go in. Makes a lot more sense than the Volibear last time. No sore thumb sticking out. However, you do have 3 very volatile lanes, I would say. I'm not sure entirely how Mundo versus Set goes, if you want to put jungle pressure there, but I will think that the Akali wants to be calling the jungler as much as possible, and the Zeri and the Thresh, not Zoe, Zeri and Thresh into Ashe Senna also would appreciate jungle pressure, because that lane is very hard to play if you don't have any pressure coming. So I'm not sure exactly where the Amumu is going to go. At the same time, Amumu's happy to have multiple gankable lanes, so he's totally fine with that. You know, it's not exactly Siobhan or anything. If you're gonna be constantly going to lanes, giving up farm, that's okay. Just get those laners ahead. We did have a player have a quick bio break, so we will be a little bit more delayed than usual. Just have a little bit more time to talk about the draft. But regardless, I do wonder how the Ashe Senna is going to lane into each other. You know, I talked about contingent spot lane running into a gank before. Ashe Senna is one of those lanes where you have to keep the pressure correctly. You can't let them engage on you, and you can't run into jungle ganks. And so I think bot lane is going to be the most interesting lane.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Of where Sedge is going. Sedge just needs to go bot. The Set Mundo kind of top lane. Set's going to control that early on, unless the Mundo gets a lot of love from the Mumu. Set's going to be able to dictate those fights early on, at least pre 6. Pretty realistically, the Set's going to win that. Brandon Akali is a little bit interesting because Brand can exert a lot of pressure onto the Akali early with this combo and being able to constantly ignite Akali pre 6. Although after that, after 6 is a little bit a different story with the Brand. But Ashe and Senna, if Sedge can just sit by and get them ahead, get them out in front of this Zeri and Thresh, Contingent spot side is going to have a hard time crawling back into this game. It really realistically will. So I would expect the Sedge to be playing around his bot, and I would expect the Mumu to kind of understand that Akali might want some love early on, and Mundo might, but he might have to go bot just to kind of establish it. But we'll have to kind of see here. We did again have that little bio there, so we're kind of waiting here for them things to get set up. Predictions for game 2 are out. And it looks like here there's a little bit more closer in points than they were last time, at least starting out here. So I do like that Contingent's gone for a more thematically kind of better stylistic choice here with their team comp. And for Conduit, Billy was on something spicy. Now he's on something a little bit more kind of tanky. So we'll have to kind of see what he can kind of do with it. It'll be great to see. Just saying, I just, if you want to throw a level 3 gank somewhere, I would love to see a level 3 gank mid for your brand. I'm just, maybe I'm asking a lot there, but I would like to see Sedge go mid for brand gank.
You know, one thing that people mention about Sedge that I don't normally pay attention to because I think the champion's just good is that melee thing, but it's just so stark here because the only person who can proc your passive is Set, and that's not going to matter early. Like you literally can't CC Dr. Muda early. So Sejuani is weaker than normal. I think she's still a functional champion without her passive, to be clear. I mean, not without her passive, but without anyone proccing her passive, but you don't even have a melee support. So I think that is something to look for, just how much weaker Sejuani is than normal, because there's literally no melee lane where she can get consistent passive off.
True, true. What? I didn't really think about that one. We'll have to see that as we go out. Points are pretty. Looks like Contingent's got a small lead there on Conduit here with a little bit over 2 to go, and we are ready to go to break.
Mhm.
You're pulling all my walls down. I've never been exposed like this before. I'm good at shutting you out. I've always had a way of keeping closed. Beating, hiding, I've been calling out your name from the darkness, thinking it's too late. If you're finding I've been too much on your plate, I'll keep hiding, calling out your name, calling out your since you got me out in the open. Now I'm ready to dive in. I know you told you it would be a slow burn. Beating, hiding, I've been calling out your name from the darkness, thinking it's too late. If you're finding I've been too much on your plate, I'll keep hiding, calling out your name, calling out your name, calling out your name, calling out your name, calling out your name. Beating, hiding, I've been calling out your name from.
And here we go. Welcome back. Getting ready for game 2 in week 2.
Cleaver.
Contingent versus Conduit. And
Cleaver
already
moment.
saying hi to the Mundo.
Wait, there's
in
a
the,
Senna out there. Wait a second. This could be spicy.
I mean, I kind of want to see where this goes because that said it is up there still. This is very interesting. I thought
I don't
maybe
think
he
it
was
goes
trying to
anywhere.
get him to follow. Ooh, here we go. Goldie to Chief, guys. Goldie to Chief.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't actually achieve that much because the mid laner or top laner didn't get it. Only ward XP matters for top solo lanes. Otherwise, it's like some extra gold. You deny some vision. It's cool, but not. Ooh, that is a little impactful though. Akali already hates being low on health in this matchup, and it just got a little bit harder. Now, Sejuani, once again, this is what Billy did last time. Started bot side. Now, last time they went bot side, top side, all the way to gank bot. Not sure if that same opportunity is going to be available here. But,
Unfortunately, with the
Senna is
leash,
still top lane.
yeah. Unfortunately, with the leash, that's kind of gonna get negated unless they somehow are able to get this kill over correctly. But we'll have to see here. Mundo is on lane, is gonna smack.
He's
Here
not
we go.
aware yet.
Here we go. Do we see it?
Oh, extra
Should-
soul, free soul.
Free soul. That's achievement. Achievement is I don't know what
Okay.
that did.
To be clear, it's free for Bam. It is not so free for this Ash, who now, I don't know what's
Should
going to
be
happen,
pushed.
honestly.
Should be pushed immediately as soon as that center was called out. This thresh should, there we go, should be coming up and saying,
Look,
"Come
it's
here."
really good.
Does land the hook, is able to get the damage down. Here comes the Zeri, not able to get the kill, but exactly as what you would expect from that scenario to occur. The Thresh wisely comes in and says, okay, well, I know Senna's not here, so I'm free to come forward. And again, going to push right in. So very costly.
Okay.
Now, Sedge
But
is
they
here.
are making the Sejuani gank here. Yeah, because of the Senna cheese.
Here it comes. Is able to get it off. Is the proc. The stun is there. The flash is out. Here comes the at. She's not ready to give it up. She is going to get the first blood. She is still pushing forward, though. And is going to get collected by the Zeri. Not certain why Ash
Okay,
continued to move forward there.
That was so interesting. So, Tiny Hippo Society played it correctly. They saw they were going to die. He moved back and ignited before he died. Like, last dying breath, I'm going to ignite so you can get this kill. But now we've given up Sejuani tempo. We've given up Senna tempo, all for this first blood, and it's plus 100 gold because Ash or Zeri also got a kill. Now, I don't think that Amu is going to be able to punish Sejuani because he's on the opposite side of the map, but look how many camps are up for Billy. Those camps are just sitting there, not taken. Amu is going to be able to take the crab. I mean, he can take both crabs almost. There's just so... The world is his oyster. And top lane does... Well, I mean, there's a set on your screen in between towers, but it doesn't look like it was impacted that much.
Am I seeing a proxy set? Is this what the world's coming to?
Right, but doesn't Contender just say, okay, you've proxied, congratulations. Mundo heals up with his passive, so he'll be fine. I mean, there is potential for a dive. It does mean that Set gets to move the things quicker if Sejuani invades, but Sejuani's not invading. Those camps are down. Now, Amumu's looking for a gank bot mid lane, and it looks like a very nice angle, too. Doesn't quite get it, though. So, again, Amumu's camps are coming up. He's going to be a little late to them from that gank, but that's okay. Sejuani's still on her first rotation. Billy is still taking the first blue buff of the game for himself at 4 minutes and a half. And meanwhile, that bot lane kill you got is equalized. The CS is equalized. Top lane, I mean, the CS gap is very real, obviously. But is it going to be enough to make up for this jungle and bot lane deficit?
I mean, right off the bat, Thresh has taken a lot of poke damage from the bot. I would have expected if they wanted to do that, they just stayed and started out this way rather than the interesting choice that they made. Because now you're in a situation where you know Dragon is coming up. You've already pushed out here. Mumu
Sejuani has no items.
Yeah, Sedge can't fight, and the Mumu can just slide down. So Mumu now knows where Sedge at, and Sedge now knows where Mumu's at. Interesting though that Billy is gonna immediately pull over. He is gonna land, but not a lot there on the Akali. But he knows that Mumu has to go all the way around, so he can kind of push this now if he wants bottom. Does look like they're getting some vision down here. To try to do just that. Let's see if he goes over the wall here to sneak this dragon in here. Kind of an interesting choice by Fizman that kind of undoes what you were talking about and now gives dragon control back over to them.
Okay, so the gold lead is already 800, and it's basically from First Blood and the CS lead on top and mid. Now, mid, you expected the CS lead to already exist because it's Brand versus Akali. Top lane is because of that Senna cheese, you have to imagine. Maybe because of the matchup. But now you're getting Sejuani going on Dragon with no items. This Dragon is going to take 10 years, and I think Amumu's going to face check. However, the rest of the team is collapsing for Monarch. If they take this fight, that is a no item Sejuani versus no item Zeri. So I think they're going to get away with it.
They're going to get away with it, but Akali could take this if she wanted to kill it. She is going to go in, lands a dodge, but she does flash, does not get over the wall. However, Razor is in a lot of trouble here. The Brand was not able to get away, and now here comes the reset. Down goes the Q, landing onto the Sedge. Double kill going over to Akali, and that is not who you want those kills going to early on, is an Akali with kills and a blue buff. So they were able to secure the dragon, but got punished on the back end for it.
I would take a longsword, no other item, or sorry, Doran's blade, no other item Zeri over literal just jungle item Sejuani any day. And the Akali gets the really nice engage, just is able to make sure that fight happens. And once that fight happens, and you've got a 0 item Sejuani once again, that it just tanked dragon, you can't really end up with full health after tanking dragon with no items. They're gonna win the fight. So now the gold lead is flipped. Infernal Dragon is worth a lot, so maybe it ends up okay. But kind of questionable decision making for the tempo of Billy.
And now here on this backside, already posturing, getting red over here. Set needs to start a fight with Mundo if he really wants to. Oh, here we go. Q landing there, but wisely backs off. But Ashe doesn't have a lot of mana here. Thresh says, no, he'll flash away there. Not able to secure the kill, but it does mean you're in a situation when your mid is already swapped, trying to get this done, but your Ashe is low, your Brand is down bottom trying to deal with the Zeri, and your Set now is going to have to push to try to get around here, and Mumu is already there. So wisely able to get this started. Set is trying to get in there. Is he going to get it? Is going to steal it. Mumu didn't want to commit, and now that was going to be a whoopsie on their part. Able to get the first of the Void Grub, and now Ashe and Senna and Sedge able to get away. Here comes the fight, though. Brand is getting some damage onto him. The stun is going to land, but he's on the run, and he is not getting away from the Zeri. So Queen of Frost is taking Razor's life.
You sent your mid lane to lane swap for so long without the support of the enemy team there that Zeri got level 6 and soloed your solo laner. That's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to have the advantage whenever you send your solo lane to match just Zeri to carry with no support. But Queen Frost not only zones him off, baits him in, and gets the kill. And they didn't get the grub. Okay, I thought they didn't. Dude, Set actually did get a cheeky steal, and it looks like they're committing for more. But the rest of the play is just an absolute disaster for Conduit Monarch.
And here you go. Akali is going to get on top of the Senna, able to find her. Senna backed off the last second and almost lost her life. But now you're in trouble because now you got the Sedge. He's going to turn immediately on an ultimate down. Here comes the Sedgel on top. But now you got the Void Grubs that are down dealing the damage. Set is taking a lot of damage, but able to finish off. Now Akali is in there with the Set. Bam! Saving the life and getting the damage to secure the kill on Akali. And now Mundo is caught out as well. Razor's getting back in there after dying. And things just kind of evened out and went Conduit's way.
Yep, they said any fight is a good fight. We can hard engage on their tank jungler because we know Thresh's area bot lane. We've got our support.
Ooh.
And even though it looks a little tough and the CC goes on the jungle, and you're like, why are you focusing the Amumu? It doesn't matter. You're up a man. You can do whatever you want. You can run a circus around them. You will win that fight 4v3. And even though it looks like Stealthy maybe will turn it, just isn't able to do it.
Tiny threaded that hook and landed there on Ash was kind of good to see there, that thresh hook landing, but unfortunately a little too close to that tower. I was like, no, we're not committing to this.
Still, Stealthy is pretty strong, right? You see the CS deficit continue, down 20 CS, but those 2 kills and having experience equity or equality in the mid lane is very huge for Akali. This dragon fight probably will rely or revolve entirely around Stealthy. So you want to be watching that Akali. Top laner, Luna's going to have TP for this dragon if they want to use it. I have seen Monarch commit their top laner and let the Nick Bob have the lead earlier in game 1. But Stealthy's kind of caught up here.
Stealthy is caught up, but it isn't Akali. The stun is going to land. Now here comes the Brand, but not able to get the combo in. And now Akali is willing to go ahead. She has the backup there, forcing Billy out of the fight. Billy's forced to kind of flash. And now Luna and Mundo are trading. This is what I was talking about. The set's going to have the early advantage, but gets to the point post 6 where it's no longer going to be able to just like threaten and kill the Mundo. So a wash there. But Billy took a lot of damage on the back end of that fight. And now you got to believe that he can't really start the engage for the dragon. They're going to have to go for the steal. Oh. He does land the ultimate and goes right across, but Razors had not gotten in position. But now Fizban's in trouble. He ultimated too early, and now he's caught out. He's by himself. The Thresh and the Zeri are not there, and now Akali is backed off. Now they're in control of the pit with Conduit, and they're going to start the dragon.
That's a trap that happens all too often. You're playing Akali, you're like, there's no world that I could ever get engaged on. I've got a million dashes. But Sejuani just ults, and you just can't quite react in time, and now you're dead. And, your Zeri and Thresh were like, hey, we're going to push out here, don't get caught. And you're like, I'm Akali. I can do whatever I want. Fortunately, that's not always the case, it's just that slight misstep. It does lead to some plates for bot lane, so it's not a total waste. I don't know if Senna can walk here. They can if they dodge the hook, though, so that's okay.
Here comes the set. He's going to ultimate, but he's still in the tower. He's not going to have enough damage. He's taking a tick. Oh, Mundo could have turned around and thrown the axe in his life, but he does not throw the axe. He just holds it, and Set is going to walk away just barely.
Regardless, the dragon going over is very huge for the side of Conduit Monarch. They've got the gold lead, they've got the dragon lead, and I believe they have all 3 of the first scrubs. So, yes, they have to worry a little bit about scaling, but the spot lane has not been an issue. They are able to utilize the Ashe Senna pretty well. I mean, Senna got a little bit caught out at one point, but it didn't matter because of the man advantage. And the rest of the map's going great. Now, Mundo will scale, and Akali is a little strong.
Billy
especially if she dodges that ult.
Billy's gonna whiff this ultimate, and it's so sad when you see the ultimate whiff there for Billy. I'm so sad. Sorry, Billy. Why'd you miss it? Why'd you miss the ultimate?
The Silk, though, gets a cleanse, and that's really nice. So, junglers, pretty even, honestly. But these grubs are going to be about what support rotates, if any of them. They might just say, we're going to take the 2v2 and leave the grubs up to everyone else. Actually, I'm sorry. It's not grubs. The first grubs are taken so late that it's going to be Herald spawning here. So don't have to worry about any of those big grubbies coming and taking out your turrets. Regardless, this tower bot lane is really low. Kind of curious if they're going to rotate anything over there, especially with the Akali being so strong despite that one death and the CS deficit. just to make sure that they get this tower. I mean, you expect that. Oh, wait, this fight is looking a little real. The stun, however, dissipates that entire idea. And Sejuani is committing to the Herald, so not entirely sure what's going to happen bot lane. But I think that Contingent Red is happy to give up this Herald and maybe look for that first tower bot lane with the tempo that they gain. It just depends on what they do whenever Sejuani recalls here.
So they got the Rift Herald here. We're gonna have to see if they're gonna try to push this out. You do see Stealthy trying to punish the brand, walked over the ward, trying to punish accordingly, but not able to get enough damage in there. More to risk trying to take the ultimate into the tower. We do see again just happy to trade back and forth between the top laners.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting mid game. You know, the lanes are all just kind of, going about how you would expect. But I think I don't know, it's just like so close to exploding if the Akali can get a solo kill, if Zeri gets a really nice ultimate. I mean, the arrow, of course, as well. But the teams are just right now avoiding those kinds of stuff, which is respectable. I'm kind of curious where first tower is going to fall, though. I think Zeri's got it now. Yeah. So that will be first tower for Zeri, which is a huge amount of gold. The 2-0 start plus the CS advantage. That Zeri will be big later. But on the other hand, this Mundo is not quite past being bullied yet.
Not gonna take enough damage though from the set to kill him off. Unfortunately, the kill threat's kind of he's been able to ride that out. I do think that Akali, if she's able to get on top of the Ashe and the Zenad, now has enough damage there with the Lich Bane completed to be able to just go ahead in there and finish one off. We'll have to see how that plays out. And Zuri done a good job. She got the early lead. She got the early gold. She's already got her static done. She's farmed up. She's got a lead there. We'll have to see if she can make something happen. But it's a Sin and an Ashe. The longer this game goes.
Yeah, that lane is not a problem because of the late game. Let me tell you, it's only if the Thresh gets some hooks, and there was some nice hooks early. There were some nice plays early, but not enough to really feel like the Ashe Senna was punished enough to say that the late game scaling isn't available, especially whenever they have the first two dragons and they're looking to make it a third. Both top laners, actually, Set doesn't have TP. I think I'll have it in time for the fight if it goes really long. But this fight is looking to be quite explosive. I think you really got to watch the Akali in this fight. And also the Sejuani ult, because if that Sejuani ult finds Stealthy for the second dragon fight in a row, it will be the third dragon over to the scaling team of Monarch. But here comes the engage from Amumu.
Here comes the Mumu. He waited, but his team is not there. He's taking a lot of damage, and he is going to fall down to the brand. And now here comes the ultimate from Billy to say hi. Thresh is now going to go down. Akali is trying to get the damage out, but now she's on the run. She does dash back in. She is trying to finish the life of the brand, but the brand flashes away. Stealthy is now on his run. Ashe is still content to go ahead and just pump damage into the Zeri, and now you have a situation where Set is flashing forward, trying to get on top of the Mundo. Here comes the ultimate. Down goes the Mundo. Akali is forced out, and now you've got a free dragon.
Yeah, and the one person who wasn't watching Akali like I suggested was Fizzban. He had no idea that he was engaging without the Akali, I guess, or he just thought maybe he could stall it out long enough for Stealthy to get there. Just doesn't quite work out, and Fizzban makes a really good engage if his team was behind him. It looked so close to making it work. Maybe if Akali had one more dash. Unfortunately, she only has 3,000, not 3,001, and they just aren't able to make the engage work despite how beautiful it looked at the beginning. And now with objective bounties being up, this Set is just still bullying Mundo. I mean, they even got a solo kill. I thought that at least the solo kills were over, but he still got that pressure. And the tower is at half health here now. Mumu is here to maybe stop him from taking anything more.
I don't think
he minds,
wants to fight a 9 to 13, level 9 versus level 13 Set. I don't think that quite goes the way Fizzman thinks it's going to work.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, even if you kill Set there, they've got 3 dragons with a scaling team. You can dissipate some of the pressure. It's not going to be a big deal for the side of Conduit Monarch. Right now, Contingent Red has got to find a big way back into this game. It's probably through Zeri and Akali. Those people are still strong, but they've got a lot more pressure on them now that the third dragon is taken, and Sol is just 4 minutes away.
We're at 18 minutes, and we're already going to be on Sol. The dragons went down that quick. Where we're going to secure it if they get away with it. That's
Yeah. And it's interesting because Billy sacrificed so much for that first dragon. You saw him go with no items, lose the fight entirely to get that first dragon. But because Contingent Red were not able to punish after that moment, the junglers are even on XP. They're pretty much even on gold. And it works out. Like if you give up a deficit but get the first dragon and then the deficit disappears, you're really happy. But you gotta hit those ultimates.
Here comes a stun landing on the Thresh, but it is a Thresh, not a squishy target.
Billy can throw those out, right? You have 3 minutes till dragon. If you don't have Sejuani ult for that time, that's fine, as long as you have it for dragon. But Razors is in a little bit more trouble. Maybe? Nope. Even now at this point, Stealthy with those 2 kills cannot solo out Razors under that tower. And the fact that your Sejuani doesn't have ult doesn't really matter. There's not much pressure going out.
We do see a call out here. Looks like they're trying to run bot, try to get to Akali. Billy is content to stun her up, but this isn't Akali. I mean, it's not like she doesn't have a gazillion dashes to get away. Or 3,000, not 3,001.
Right, exactly. Only 3,000, but 3,000 is enough to get away from a Sejuani without ultimate. So I guess it didn't end up mattering that Sejuani didn't have ultimate. But they still get the tower. They still have pressure top lane. Like, he sent all these people bot lane, and instead is just walking away from an Amumu. I don't think he's going to be in danger of dying here.
I think
oh my god, is he actually going to get a kill?
Danger from dying. I told you, just don't want to fight this set. Now the teleport is coming out. Set's getting help, and now in the middle, feels Panman is caught out. Billy is going to show up late, but the damage is already done because of Bran teleporting to top, and now Billy is going to be called out. Queen of Frost is going to get the double kill off of that one. Kind of an interesting thing there where you Bran teleported top, your Senna was down bot collecting souls, and your little ADC was in alone in the middle all by themselves.
But that is what Contingent need to look for. They need to look for plays around their Zeri and their Akali. Another hook is really well placed. I don't think it matters under tower, but if these hooks keep on coming out, they've got a chance.
Now, I will say, Tiny has landed some really nice hooks in this game. Unfortunately, has not been able to get the follow-up on some of them, but
I really like this. You can see Queen is like 1 item away, just the completion cost away from Infinity Edge. That Raptor camp probably gave it to him. He didn't suicide for the mid wave as many people would. He said, I'm going to take 10 minutes and take this camp for myself just to make sure I have Infinity Edge in base. There it is. And this is the best space that Contingent Red has been for a dragon fight since the Sejuani no item dragon incident. So if there is a fight they're going to take, it's going to be this one. But they have to be worried about how they face check into an Ashe Senna. And Sejuani has ultimate again.
Meanwhile, Set has actually come this time with the party here. And I'm not certain Akali wants to take that ride.
Okay, so they get the priority mid, but that doesn't matter as much whenever it's sold. They can just give up mid tower. They can give up mid inhibitor for the soul, honestly. I mean, being on the Baron side of this is so awkward. You're not trading Baron, and they have to run away from their own minion wave. How did they ever get from Raptor Camp to the Dragon Pit? This is just so scary for Contingent Red.
Well, now you have Akali by herself. She is going to be able to get off the backside and get some damage out, but she's now didn't go in. Now she's going in on the backside, but she's all alone. A team is not with her because everybody's trying to fight the Set, who's just holding the team down. Here comes Billy flashing in to get the kill. The fight is joined. Shutdown going over, but Fizban is now in trouble. Fizban's caught. Billy is still just sitting here tanking and soaking, and down they go. Double kill going over to Brand, and now they're going to Baron. They're not going to Dragon.
Yeah, they don't even care about Soul. This song gets Soul after Baron. No biggie. And you saw the 2 people that I called out, Akali and Zeri. They just aren't able to make it happen. Akali, make sure to keep 4 people off of the Zeri, and they do kill the Set. But the 4v4 afterwards is just so impossible whenever Sejuani can jump onto Zeri and make sure Queen Frost is not a factor. She just wasn't able to get any damage out. Razors for life a little low. I think they still get it, yeah.
Razor, calm down there, bud. You might want to back off a little early there, not die there.
Okay, this teleport's really interesting. So they did take so long taking the Baron that the dragon is spawned. They teleport in stealthy. So this fight is their last chance. This would deny the soul, which is really important. Full vision control with that grab take, however. And I just don't see them winning the 5v5 with Baron God, even if the side of Monarch is late.
No, the set is already in position. He's going to pick a fight with Fizbin. He's got 4 levels on a Mumu. Mumu cannot fight this. Fizbin is making a really poor decision here. He realizes it, but he is not going anywhere. He is not going to get away. Down goes the Fizbin, and now you've got a 4v5. Your Mundo is here now for the fight, but Fizbin's already dead. Like, what do you
Yeah,
do here? What do you
that's your
what do you
entire prediction,
you should be
Zeri.
backing up here. So now here the fight comes. Now you have Luna on top of Tiny. Thresh is trying to take it out, but now he's
Oh,
done him a favor, and now Luna is in position here. Down goes the Akali again without the position, and now the damage is coming out. Zuri is going to go down here in a
oh,
second.
Queen Frost is trying so hard.
Queen Frost is able to return to fire. No one's on her yet, but the double kill, the Sin is able to finish off, and now you've got an ace. They're sending Billy to take the dragon while the rest of the team of Baron pushes forward. So again, interesting decision trying to sneak Mumu out of position, gets caught out, and then Akali gets caught
I
out,
mean,
and Queen tried to do what she could, but
you gotta
not
make
enough.
something happen against Baron. You saw them make a mistake with the rotation, so maybe Amumu can find some kind of back way into getting a good ultimate. Zeri engaged, but they're just not coordinated enough. You can imagine if Stealthy had had the Amumu support, if Zeri had had Amumu at any point in that fight. But it's just so unfortunate. I get what they were going for though, because again, Set is alone there. You know the enemy team has just recalled and is running from base. Maybe Amumu can stall long enough to get an ultimate off, but his ult was on cooldown. And that's just the saddest part, I think, actually, was Fizz dying with his ult on cooldown for about 2 seconds. I don't know if it would have changed much, but maybe he ults there, they kill Set, and then they can take the fight before, even with Amumu being low on health. But I don't know. You gotta make risks whenever you're this far behind. That risk has failed, and I just don't see any aspect of a risk coming that they can take that would win them this game. I mean, they don't have any inhibitors down yet. The Baron's down.
No inhibs, but
Uh,
Soul has
Baron's
been
gone
is
soon.
now on the table. You've got, I mean, Zeri did a really great kite, able to get some kills out. You do see Tiny again just landing these on top, but now the damage is coming out. Brand is going to get his damage out either which way. Here comes the ult to secure the kill, but now on the trade, claiming the lives. Brand's getting his damage out no matter what, so he doesn't care if he dies in the process. He's gonna get that damage out. But
I've made that hook
3 for
before.
Brand.
Yeah, I've made that hook before. Your jungler's not there, your top laner's not there, but you're just praying that the person you hook is alone for no reason. Fortunately, the rest of Conduit Monarch come out of the fog and say, yeah, we were grouped. And they are not able to get a pick. And yeah, that probably spells the ball game.
Doing work here on these towers. Fizbin is saying, I am not going into this fight here. Maybe takes it right now, or Mundo is coming over on this backside, but they're just going to let them skirt away. Towers down. Set is marching. Pings are out. Brand's going bot.
Okay. You've survived the. Oh, don't face check.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
no.
don't face check the bush. Here comes the Set ult. Set is now on top. Fizbin is going to get the ultimate out. However, it's still a Set. He's alone fighting 3 on the back end, but Queen of Frost able to get the life down. But now here comes the Thresh. Here comes the re-engaged. Set is going to throw the ultimate on Zuri on top. Now Zuri goes over the wall trying to get away, but team's like, okay, well, if you're going that way, we'll just go this way. Or maybe Bam saying he's not. Bam doesn't care. Bam does not want to get in this game. Bam is looking for this kill. Bam is hunting this down. Does not care that they get in the game. Bam wants this kill and is going for this kill. But game is ended.
Yeah, and I think it was a massive improvement from game 1 to game 2 for Contingent Red. Obviously, the in-game screen doesn't look quite like that, with some players not having the best score line. But you can see, like, Zeri has a lot of kills. You can see that the first dragon was a lot more under control for Contingent Red. I mean, they almost won that fight. And had they been able to, or they did win that fight, had they been able to snowball that, it would have been a very different game. But unfortunately, just not able to play around the Zeri enough, just from how Monarch were able to set up the fights where they wanted them, when they wanted them.
You said it. I mean, Akali got the early double kill off the back of Conduit securing the dragon. She was able to get those kills, but wasn't really able to get much after. You would figure with the double kill on there, she would get more roaming right off, and go for the Senna, and she did catch the Senna once going across to Void Grubs, but wasn't able to get the kill on there. But then there's just looked like there were some miscommunications with the Akali and the Mumu where they were going in at different times rather than going together, where you could really see it would have paid off if they were kind of on the same page. So a little bit more teamwork together, a little bit more practice. That'll be a lot more fluid and get a lot more done. And Queen on Zeri looked pretty good, able to secure the solo kill on the brand, able to get a lot of done in a team fights, kiting around, getting the Ash, getting the Senna dead. But yeah, just a couple misplays there, and it cost them.
I mean, if there's one thing you can take away from the series for the losing team, it's keep drafting carries for Queen Frost and Stealthy. I mean, they've looked really good. The Zeri Jinx almost carried both first games. Stealthy, amazing on Akali and Swain. It's just a few macro decisions, a few fight choices, and I think that team works out. So like the draft works really well. I mean, I don't think that that's where you need to look back on this week and say that's what needs to change. It's just a few other things for sure.
All right. Any last thoughts for today? What do we got next?
I'm just really glad to see Monarch show up for their first stream week and really put on a show. Show why Razors has Yon banned against him. They didn't get to pick it the second time because that would have been all AD and blind pick. Probably not the best. So maybe take it from that what you will for the draft, but maybe just ban it too. That's a pretty simple answer. And I liked Billy's decisions for some of the macro decisions. The fights especially, they picked Sejuani Ashe to be able to force fights, and they forced the fights that they really wanted to. So that was really nice for Monarch, and I'm excited to see them for the future of the league. I believe we do have what will be streamed next week, if I look at it properly. For the 29th for Arbiter, we will be watching Dynasty Eclipse versus Tactical Feed. Now, we have not watched either of these teams yet, so it will be their first debut on stream. But definitely join us for that. And then tomorrow, of course, will be Crusader. I'm really bad about remembering the order. It's Sentinel. Okay, yeah, Sentinel tomorrow. So same time on Tuesday, so join us for that as well. But thank you guys for watching Arbiter League once again. Remember next week, if you join us for Arbiter again, Aurora will be enabled. So very exciting news for that. But I think that's about going to finish it for us today.
Thank you as always, Scarlett. And for everybody else out there, have a good night.
Mm-hmm.